I am having a really hard time with starting videos today. I think a lot of it is this past week I've been truly spiritually attacked, and for whatever reason, it's like I'm stronger in my faith here lately, and whatever it is that's attacking me definitely feels it, definitely doesn't want me to talk about it, definitely doesn't want me to be here now. So I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit about some incidents that have happened. Now, this past week has been a little bit crazy for me. My depression has picked up. I've been feeling extremely overwhelmed. I've had nightmares. So there's things like that I'm going to talk about in a whole different video for you guys about why I feel like I'm being attacked. But today I'm going to talk to you about something a little different. Today I'm going to tell you guys about something that happened to me in my younger adult life. I lived in a trailer by myself. It was me and my son. My son was probably maybe 6 or 7, give or take, at the time. And living out there was really nice. It was the first time I was really like independent financially by myself. And when we moved in, the trailer was great. We made it very home. It was very basic. The setup was like kitchen, living room, small hallway that led to the bathroom, and his bedroom, bathroom, and then the master bedroom. So that's kind of how the house was set up. And we had this, nice yard as well. But we didn't go out there that much, to be honest with you. Not into the yard. I took them down to the park that was close by. But the house itself, there was nothing wrong with it when I moved in or anything like that. In fact, the first year that I lived there, I didn't have any issues whatsoever. However, once I started really being on my own, I would notice small things were happening around the house. Things like I'd fall asleep on the couch and the TV would be off when I woke up, but there was no timer. Or the remote that was next to me was now on the other side of the couch. Now, these were all things that I would easily explain in my head as things that I did myself. You know what I mean? So, like, it wasn't weird, or I didn't want to think too dark onto things. But as time grew on, more and more things started happening, more and more drastic things. Like, there was an incident right after dinner when I was doing the dishes, and all the drawers in my kitchen just flung open. It scared the shit out of me. Sorry for my language. But it literally scared me to the point where I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. But then my mom told me later that day that we did have, issues in the downtown area where they were having some grounds that were giving out and people could feel certain things. So I played it off as that was it as well. Well, the truth of it was, I don't think that was any of those things, to be honest with you. I think there was always something in that house that was coming for me in particularly, not my son or anybody else, but it wanted me. And to be honest with you, I think these things that have wanted me for a long time, probably since I was a child. Looking back into my childhood, I think that is an accurate statement. More and more stranger things started happening to the point where I really didn't want to be at the house by myself anymore, and that I was kind of scared to be. And it felt like if I talked about it, it made it more real and more scary. To the point where, this incident happened, and I was glad that I had somebody else there to witness kind of what I was going through. So one night, I was during the day, I was with my cousin, and we were playing video games in the living room, and all of a sudden we could hear music playing from my room, which was kind of weird because I only had one radio in the house. It was a shower radio that had no batteries. It didn't work. I don't know why I kept it, but I just don't get rid of things as way I should. So this music was playing, and we went out there to go figure out what it was, and it was a song that him and I related to his dad. Now, his dad's been passed away. That was I think it's been 5 years since he was, and he took it as a sign, his dad was reaching out to us, and I took it as something completely different. The reason I took it completely different was because I knew his father, and his father was a good man. He had his own issues, don't get me wrong, and there were some mistakes I'm sure he made in his life that he could possibly, had to deal with on his own, but he was one of the most kindest people I had a chance to meet, especially on my biological side. And the love that he had for his family was unconditional. But what I was feeling was not love. It was completely dark, completely heinous, and it was cold, and I did not like it. But I was the adult in this scenario because my cousin was significantly a little bit younger than me, and I didn't want to scare him. So I played it off that maybe it was. We'll cross that boat later. We ended up leaving because that's how scared I was. So we left the house. So after I took him home, I went to my boyfriend's house for the day because I didn't really want to go back to the house after what I was feeling was there. Unfortunately, when you are an adult and you pay rent, you do eventually have to go home. Who knew? So the weeks went by and I was at this house by myself, and more I could feel the presence of whatever it was, and it felt like it was there to get me. Well, one night my boyfriend ended up spending the night at the house with me, and during the day absolutely nothing happened, but at nighttime we were dead asleep, and for whatever reason I woke up. I could feel it. I could feel the cold. I could feel the same thing that I felt before, and when I did, out of my peripherals to my left, I could see it. It was huge. It was manly. It was there, and I'm pretty sure it was there to get me. The thing was, I was so shocked and scared. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I was like paralyzed, stuck in this state of non-movement, right? But my boyfriend was laying in bed next to me, and I was like, man, does he see this too? Like, is he even awake, or is he sleeping through the whole thing, right? Turns out, like, after what felt like an eternity, and it wasn't, it was probably maybe realistically only like 2 or 3 minutes, if that, he ends up gasping for air, and suddenly that thing was gone. It was completely gone. I was so scared to tell him about what I saw, but he ended up talking about it first. And he saw the same thing that I saw, which not in a sense was relieving, but it was that I wasn't crazy, basically. Like, somebody else saw and felt the same thing that I was feeling and seeing. And we were both scared. We ended up going back to sleep, I think-ish. The next day, he came back over, and we turned on every light, and he was like, we're bringing positivity into this house. There's nothing going to bring us down. And he was right. The positivity did help for a while, maybe like a week or two even. After that, I was coming home from work one day, and when I came home, one of the things that was welded shut, this like water tank, an old water tank was in the house. It was welded shut. The door was wide open. And as soon as I walked in, I immediately felt that presence again, immediately. So I got scared, and I started packing up some clothes, and I was like, I'm going to just go stay at my, adoptive parents' house, and we're going to call it a day. Well, it knew that I was leaving, and it did not like that. And all of a sudden, the power in the house was shut off. The kitchen cabinets swung open, and I ended up leaving the whole house. I left all my stuff because I was just like, this is not for me. I am out 110%. I ended up in a new apartment very quickly with the assistance from my friends and stuff like that. But the reason I'm talking about this today is the fact that whatever was there that night, I do firmly believe was there to get me. It was there for whatever reason, was there to consume or to take. I'm not sure. My faith was very weak in those time frames, and it's hard to kind of talk about those things sometimes because it makes you feel bad in a sense, like you're not the greatest version of yourself. But the truth was, I do believe whatever that thing was there to get me. And if it wasn't for the protection from God that he placed in that house that night with me, which was my boyfriend, who at the time, he was not even Christian based. But I do believe that there was so much God in him that that thing was stopped because he was there. That thing was coming for me. And when it came into that doorway, it had every intentions on whatever the goal was. It had every intention of consuming. And to be honest with you, the state of mind that I was in back then, I was a single mom, co-parenting with the world's worst person in the world, and I was beaten a lot. My childhood wasn't the greatest. Foster care was kind of rough. My adoption, even had its ups and downs, but there was things that it knew to feed on. It knew I did not want to be alone. It knew to feed on this. Okay. So when I say it was there to get me, it surely was. But God placed protection because we meet people randomly. The guy that I was dating back then and now who's my current boyfriend, I had no idea I was going to date him. I had no idea he was going to even be in the house with me. Looking back at it now, I don't think he had any idea what he was capable of either. And still today, he is still growing enormously with his faith. And I firmly believe that God placed him there for a reason. He placed him there with me for my protection, because God promises us things. He promises all the types of love, eternal love with him, protection. And sometimes we can't do it by ourselves. Some people are designed for certain things. And I am designed for my own path with God, right? I know I'm a light to certain things. I know I'm destined to do things. But there's some things that I cannot do. Some things want me to stop doing what I'm doing. And I think ever since I was a child, I've always had these like missions. Like I had a small mission in life to do and to accomplish. And the more I grew with faith, the more I grew with God, the more it did not like that. And I know God told me that me and him together, we're the strongest we could ever be. We are a strong couple together. And I think back then, we were strong then. We just didn't even know. We didn't even know what we were capable of. But that moment when that thing was coming for me, and then him being there and stopping that wasn't me. That was God's protection. That was God through him. So when you're out here and you're thinking about like everything that could possibly have gone wrong in your life, right? Just remember, God does not put us through anything that we cannot handle. And he knows he's there for us, and he loves us unconditionally. He's going to protect us no matter what we are going through.